Hi everybody, this is Andrew Oppman with another edition of Academic Spotlight, an occasional series of shows we're doing on the colleges of Middle Tennessee State University. We spotlight the unique programs and academic opportunities in each of our colleges, and this program focuses on the wonderful College of Liberal Arts, led by our new interim dean, Dr. Leah Lyons. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Dr. Lyons, and let's start with the very beginning here, the importance of the College of Liberal Arts. Can you describe for prospective students and their families the programs and diversity of offerings that you offer through the college?
Sure. The College of Liberal Arts has the fine arts and performing arts, the humanities, and the social sciences. And through those disciplines, students are able to get an understanding of disciplinary knowledge, theory, and praxis, as well as transferable skills that will help them through their careers, not just today, but for the rest of their lives, because they're being trained as lifelong learners, being able to adapt to different situations, address complex problems, all the things that we need in society today.
I love your college. I love the diversity of the programs in your college. You've mentioned a couple. Let's unpack a few of them first. We have a world-class theater and dance department. Our School of Music wins national acclaim. Our music industry programs that are really focused on people getting jobs, not only in front of the microphone, but behind the microphone. So many different ways to express yourself and learn the business of expressing yourself. Talk a little bit about that point of pride for you. I know that's one of the flagship carriers of the College of Liberal Arts.
Absolutely. Our fine and performing arts departments are second to none. We have excellent faculty, and our students are really honing their crafts, and they're performing on a national stage. And this is not just in theater and dance, which are growing programs, not just in the School of Music, where we have vocal music, instrumental music, all kinds of exciting opportunities for students to explore their interest in music, but also in our Department of Art and Design. We have graphic design, we have other skills programs where our students are really able to hone a craft and to be able to present their art on national stages.
The Department of Art and Design, the School of Music, Theater and Dance, they're united under a brand that we call MTSU Arts. And what I love about that program is that we're putting a public focus on many of the outreach that they do. The Art and Design has the Todd Art Gallery in Todd Hall, which is a beautiful facility, and it's always changing and always interesting. Tucker Theater, under Theater and Dance, Wright Hall, School of Music. You've got really state-of-the-art facilities that you're putting your students in.
Absolutely. The facilities are excellent. The studios that are in our Department of Art and Design are graphic design studios with state-of-the-art computer and software tools for our students. Everything is there to support them. Our theaters, our performance halls, excellent spaces for creative activity to really showcase the talents that our students have.
And it's just wonderful to hear those performances. I think we have in a typical year, and this fall we'll be focusing on a more typical return to normal here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. So many programs and activities in MTSU Arts. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about some of those great programs in Peck Hall. You know, everybody that comes to MTSU is going to get introduced to Peck Hall, of course, because so much of what I need to take as a university student comes out of the College of Liberal Arts, and that means I'll be having some of those core courses in Peck Hall and other things. Can you talk about those programs?
Sure. Our general education curriculum serves virtually every student on campus. So even students who don't have majors within the College of Liberal Arts have access to the foundational training and skills building that come out of the courses in our history program, our English program, political science and international relations, global studies and human geography. Those are some of the programs that are housed within Peck Hall. And so our students get access to the foundational training that they need to build on their educational future. And so that comes from the liberal arts departments, especially through our general education program that reaches virtually every student.
It does, it does. And for those maybe not familiar with Peck Hall, it is a very well-designed these days, because the College of Liberal Arts put up some navigational skills on that, but there's a lot of programs and it's easy to get lost, but also now get found in that building too, thanks to all your good branding being there.
Absolutely. As an alumna of the university and an English major, I had a double major of English and foreign languages and French. I spent a lot of time in Peck Hall. I spent a lot of time walking that square endlessly trying to find classrooms. But now, as you said, there's some signage there that indicates the wonderful skills that come through the liberal arts, and the color coding makes it really easy to navigate the building now. And so our
really
students
cool.
are in a good place.
And you mentioned that square, the middle spot of Peck Hall, has been transformed by the college into this wonderful public space. And my building, Cope Administration, is right across. And the wonderful, what makes it so wonderful is you'll see students out there talking, studying, performing. There's so much collaboration and a sense of community. And that, I'm going to use that word deliberately for the College of Liberal Arts. It does feel like a community of scholars. You build something, those relationships. Talk about that, the importance of faculty and connecting with those students.
Absolutely. One of the things that's terrific about the College of Liberal Arts is that we have small class sizes and that we have relational faculty. So it would be very unusual for one of our liberal arts faculty to not know their students' names. And so we build those relationships. We do have that sense of community and that opportunity to really build relationships through scholarship. And so it's the mentoring, it's all of those relationships that are so key. And now our College of Liberal Arts Advising Center is also housed in Peck Hall. And that's another hallmark of our relational interactions with our students, is that our advisors are there and they're working with our students, helping them stay on the path to progress in their education.
I'm really glad you mentioned the academic advisors. I agree, your college has superior advisors. Talk to everybody about the role that the academic advisor plays and why that is so crucial to what we call our quest for student success.
The advisors are there to help students understand the courses that they need to take to progress in their degree. And so it's not just a matter of what courses to take, because a student could find that on a piece of paper, but it's helping the students understand what courses they need in order to be able to progress in a given area. And so it's choosing courses, the timing of courses, the sequencing of those courses. Our advisors really help students understand the full picture of their degree and how they can make that progress to stay on track and graduate in a timely fashion.
And they do a wonderful job of that. And my daughter Sarah is in your college, and that progression, making sure that they're taking the courses they need to hit their educational goal. We want them to graduate. We want them to progress. And that support that your advisors are providing are just very key. Let's take a step back and talk about just the importance of a humanities and liberal arts education. Why liberal arts, and why is that something that should be appealing to me as a prospective student?
Sure. So the liberal arts, as I mentioned earlier, really help you build the foundational knowledge that you need to adapt to diverse situations. Students who will be coming out of college, they're not looking at the same world that I was looking at when I left college. The skills that they need are necessary because the world is changing, and it's changing quickly. And so the liberal arts give that foundation for global learning and interaction, for creative problem solving. Students today may have 50 years of a work life. And so I think it's very rare that a student would want to do the same thing for 50 years or even be able to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that students are adaptable, that they're able to continue learning, that they're able to train themselves to learn, to think, and to grow. And that's what the liberal arts offers. It offers students the ability to do the first career, the second, the third, and whatever would come after that. When I look at public figures, when I look at heads of state, presidents of the United States, secretaries of state, when I look at one of the most prominent physicians, Dr. Fauci, who has been guiding us through this pandemic, these are all people who have that liberal arts training. And so it's not a matter of being able to just do one job. It's being able to learn how to adapt and grow and do whatever task you're called upon in whatever career you choose.
So well said. I remember I was talking to one of your colleagues. You have nice collaborations with the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, and there was a wonderful event that your office helped spearhead where we talked about the connection, the nexus between the humanities and science. And I asked her, why is this important? And she told a joke, something of, science could maybe teach you how to clone a dinosaur. humanities will tell you why you should think about that before you do it. I mean, that pause of reflection and preparation for a career that doesn't exist yet. You are really building people's lives for the things that have not been developed yet, right? So allow me to think through those things.
That's right. When I think about our philosophy department, for example, they're training in ethics. When I think about our communication studies program and training in rhetoric, all of these things are needed to really evaluate what we're doing and why. And so one of the things that is important to ask is why. When we have a decision that we're making, when we are looking at a problem, we need to ask the question why, and we need to ask why not in determining the best course of action for proceeding. And liberal arts really trains you in that way to be able to ask the key questions that you need to make the decisions that you'll face in the future. And it's people who are at the heart of it all. It's how it affects people that really matters, and the liberal arts helps you to understand the human condition and the different impacts on society. And so that's key in any profession that you would choose.
You mentioned religious studies. I know that's been a pride point, women's studies and gender studies, another pride point. You've got so many thoughtful, great, smart people engaging in courses that have great topical interest. That's got to give you a sense of pride, right? That you're as dean overseeing such a diverse collection of thinkers and activities that serve the students so well.
Our faculty is really second to none. We have scholars who are caring and compassionate, thoughtful people, but who are brilliant people. When I think about their accomplishments and I have conversation with them, their humility always stands out, and you think, how am I talking to someone who has published on such interesting material, who's lectured, who has given presentations on such important information, but they're here talking in a way that relates to students, in a way that relates comfortably to others. I think it's just fantastic.
You really can't talk about liberal arts without talking about your study abroad opportunities, those great programs that you do. I know you have a signature program where we take scholars to Israel, but there are so many other opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about why that's important?
Well, we do have a lot of faculty-led programs, and study abroad is the opportunity for students to experience something new, to broaden their horizons, to expand their worldview, and to allow them even more tools to solve problems. So what it does is it gives them access to different types of people. It helps them work in groups. It gives them all the things that the liberal arts gives them in a different venue. And so we have so many students in the liberal arts who do take advantage of the opportunity to study abroad, as well as our other co-curricular offerings. We have internship opportunities and other things for students to engage in to give them that real-world experience that they need before they graduate.
That's fantastic. I'm going to give you the last word. Give us the elevator pitch of why the College of Liberal Arts. Tell me your greatest 3-minute pitch. Why I should enroll.
3 minutes to talk about the College of Liberal Arts doesn't seem like enough, but I'll try to sum it up. I'll try to sum it up in this way. The College of Liberal Arts gives you all the tools that you need for success in your life. You have the foundational knowledge in disciplines. You have the transferable skills that you need to go out into the workforce. You have what you need to enrich your life in ways that you wouldn't in other disciplines, because you're able to examine all of the facets of life, and you're able to think about things critically and understand what you need to go forward in life.
Dr. Leah Lyons, the interim dean of the College of Liberal Arts. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show and to talk about the great College of Liberal Arts. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And this does wrap up this edition of Academic Spotlight. A reminder, you can find out everything you need to know to apply for MTSU at our website, mtsu.edu/apply. And finally, we want to make sure our students and their families are well aware of the guaranteed scholarships offered at MTSU. You will see them listed on your screen right now. If you or a member of your family are looking to come to MTSU, you may qualify for one of these academic scholarships. The deadline to be eligible is coming up soon, so please be sure that you apply and don't miss out. Set yourself up for success at MTSU. I'm Andrew Ottman. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on our campus someday very soon.